Okay, in your ear and live. It's Father Moo. Tons of different stuff to get to today. Just want to say thanks to everybody out there who's actually listening. There are people listening and commenting, even on YouTube. Twitch, not so much, but you can't always get what you want. But yeah, we'll keep on the airwaves. We'll keep it up. We'll keep it live. Keep rinsing it. Father Boo. As interesting as this patch is, I'm not gonna go down the mainstream route today and show off a bunch of patches until another video. I got some weirdness I want to do, so this little thing we're listening to right now is a disco sequence made by some user, not myself. Showing you can get something traditional and techno or disco-y out of it if you want to. Bassline and drums, that's all it is. Simple but effective. So yeah, let's do something totally new. I was having an old argument with an old friend about how there's nothing new under the sun anymore. And well, I'm not going to rehash all of that right now. At least with Modular, there's the potential. You can always sit down and say, today I'm going to try and do something I haven't done before. Even if I end up doing something which is 80% similar to what I did before, but is 20% interesting, that's probably a win. But I can see both sides of this argument. But at least with Modular, the potential is there. And one of the reasons is because you start with a blank slate. You don't start with anything wired into anything. Of course, you have your own brain and you learn Modular in your own way, so you're going to have, patterns you fall into, sort of like the ones I'm already falling into here. But I'm okay with that. I mean, we're going to have an output and a mixer. Some things don't change that much, and if they did, we'd probably have a problem. So, yeah, what am I going to do today? I'm going to try and make a patch I've never made before. I did a little bit of thinking in my brain before I did this, and I know some of the elements, or I know the concept for what's going to be new in this particular case. As I said, we'll see how well it works out. We're going to need another bad boy up here. You can see we got a clock gen on the left. That's pretty normal. I'm going to go to in-out. I think I'm going to use keyboard voice. Is this the right one? Yep. And that means I need to get this little guy out. Keyboard floater. My little virtual MIDI keyboard. You can chill there for a bit, buddy. So here we're going to we have a normal subtractive oscillator. These guys can go over in the corner for now. Oh, I accidentally chose the one that's sine wave only. That is not what I need. I guess I will need OSC B. There we go. Which has the traditional subtractive waveforms. I'm going to take a pretty normal, for now, filter. Classic low-pass filter. I'm going to take a normal envelope, ADSR envelope, and I'm going to patch them in a normal way. So we're starting very conventional here, nothing too wacky. Oscillator into filter, filter into ADSR, which in the Modular world also has a built-in VCA in it, and from there into the mixer. So by plugging the output of keyboard 1 into the gate of the ADSR in, I should be able to trigger that and get a note. Ooh, that's a note. I've heard notes before, but that's definitely one of them. just have him repeating. This is going to be a little bit annoying to listen to, but I won't make you listen to bleeps the whole time. But I do need something to work with while I get started here. Going to use the square wave because I want to mess with pulse width later. Going to open up the filter a bit. You're still hearing a bit of reverb from my sound card. What about this? Probably too much there. Turn the repeating notes off now. I am going to need something long. One thing I know about this is that I'm planning to press a note on the keyboard and hear it for a long time and then let it go and have it fade out. So that fade out seems about right to me. Let's try that one more time. Yeah, that'll do. Maybe I'll try fading it in, see if I can get something. Pump up the attack a bit. Still not enough. That might be too long. There we go. Give him a longer decay if he's got a longer. It's good. Okay, great. Nothing too wacky here so far. Please note that I know there's not a lot of other Nord modular users out here, but the keyboard note output is already hardwired to the oscillator. You don't need to plug it in. If you do plug it in into the pitch and then maximize the pitch's response, you'll still get notes, but as I go up the scale here, they'll sound increasingly wrong. So it's actually going up by, I was going up by whole tones most of the time, and it was doubling those, so giving me 4 instead of 2. So if I turn this down to 0, let's try that again. I can't even play. Let's try that one more time. That's better. That's the scale we all know and love, and we did it without plugging the keyboard pitch output or note output into the oscillator. If you're using almost any other system, I don't know about VCV rack. Actually, I don't know about many other systems, but if you're using a traditional modular system, you would need to have a cable running from your keyboard into the pitch of at least one oscillator to get notes. Okay, anyway. I think this should work. I'm going to also plug the gate, which triggers our note, into the reset of my clock generator. Now here is the big reveal. I told you I wanted to have an instrument where I play a single note, and although right now the only thing modulating the sound of that oscillator is this filter, what I'm actually going to do is put a bunch of audio sources in the signal path, and I'm also going to create event sequencers, probably at least 2 before I start running out of processing power. And as those event sequencers trundle along through their sequences, they are going to trigger the modulation of the other sound sources. So in other words, what I'm trying to create is a very evolving sound over time. The notes will always be processed by the audio function. Some of them won't be bypassed. Some of them will just have their effect reduced. But they will be subject to the changes that the event sequencers trigger. So I got the clock gen telling this guy what clock to use, and same for this guy. I don't know if their speeds are right now, but I don't really care. And they seem to be running in sync. I think I should traditionally do this into the reset button. But I might need to change that if I... oh, yeah. What about this one? Well, we'll worry about linking them later. That's going to get more complicated. Okay, let's go back to hear our note again. Cool. Okay, so what we're going to need is more envelopes, and we're going to need more audio sources. So let's start creating a couple more envelopes. At 1.6%, but with 4 stages, I think ADSR is worth it for this little project. So first of all, I set a trigger here in Event Sequencer 1, send it out to the gate of Sequencer 2, and then send the output of that gate. I'm using the blue one because I'm going to send control data to this filter. I put it into filter in input 1. So when this hits, it should trigger the envelope. Oh, it might be too short though because it's a very short gate. Okay, let's open it up a bit longer. These are going to act as like ties, like tying the notes together. And as long as that... Oh, it's not actually. Is this what we do to make it a smooth... good. Okay, let's look real close here. See how these little buttons are down? And you can watch the green light flashing here, so each time it's re-triggering. That's not what I want. I want one smooth note. So I click this little button, trig versus gate, and now I get one constant green light going on at that point. That's exactly what I want. I don't want this to loop every 16 bars, so I'm going to set a massive amount of steps in this sequence. Let's go with 64. That seems reasonable. So you can see no green activity now. It's going to take a long time. There we go. There goes the lights. So in the first round of the sequence, he plays on step 9 to 16. But then all the others, 17 down to 64, he does nothing. And there he goes again. So during that time that he's on, this envelope starts. And again, it's going to be manipulating the filter sound. So I'm going to have some, these are what I would call like pad type settings on the ADSR. A certain amount of attack so it fades in. Sustain level doesn't have to be too high. And release can be kind of short because the key is only going to be down for a few moments. So the filter is totally open here, so it should be doing its job right now. It should open that filter more when the sequencer hits this series of notes, which are now one note. Let's try and see what we get. Okay, so we heard it. When it hit step 9, it went wah. It opened the filter a lot more. But it did it almost instantaneously, which is not what I want. I want it to fade in. So we're going to have to take a little more work in the ADSR department. Getting there. My attack is almost as long as my decay. I don't know what that means, but it's probably not good. Let's try again. Good. I wish it closed a little bit shorter. So this is just down to like knob tweaking at this point to get the theoretical values closer to the actual good musical values. Great. That is what I wanted. It faded open and it faded shut when it was being triggered. So actually, I'm going to just delete the envelope I made before. I know that these settings are pretty close to what I want, so I'm just going to duplicate it a couple times. So now I've got two more with the same basic settings, and they will trigger other functions. So first is the filter. Who's next in the signal chain? Let's get out some of the old guitar pedals, as I like to call them, the audio processors, and drop them in. Let's take a quick check before we drop. What's our load at? we're at only 26% of total processing power. So I think we're still pretty okay here. Pretty okay. Let's drop in some of the pedals. I'm going to try overdrive. I guess I should really be putting them here since the filter... Yeah, okay, let's keep all the guitar pedals and sound changers in this column. Wave Wrapper's a good guy. In reality, I know I'm not going to put him right after the overdrive, but we'll worry about that later. Who's another guy? Digitizer, good friend of mine. Seen him before on this channel. Phaser's good, but it's kind of always on. I think I'm going to use a filter instead. How about vocal filter? That guy's a real weirdo. And dial in some more pleasant vowels. Alex, if you would. I'd like to buy an OE. Thank you. So here we've got 4 more sound sources. As I said, I'm going to move Wave Wrap away from overdrive because I don't want to repeat the same kind of sound. I know they're both going to give me kinds of distortion. So Wavy Wrapper, there you go. So I'm going to see where we are here. The filter is going straight into our, let's call it our volume envelope. This is what plays the note itself. And instead, we're going to patch him into the first guitar pedal. I guess the filter is the first. Overdrive is number 2. Digitizer is number 3. Vocal filter is number 4. Wave Wrapper is number 5. And each of those bad boys is going to need his own envelope. So this one is going to the filter. This one will go to overdrive amount. This one will go to sample, although I'm going to have to do it opposite. I'm going to want sample rate to go from high to low, so I think I want to invert this envelope. See how the picture is now inverted. We'll come to that later. We got 2 more guitar pedals, but they don't have any envelopes. Let's copy again. Notice that the copied envelopes are the same. I copied the inverted guy. Well, it shouldn't matter. Let's just uninvert them. The copied ones still have the name ADSR ENV2. If I create a new envelope, it will call it 3. But if you copy envelope, you might have labeled it, something useful to yourself. So the system doesn't rename it the same way that Microsoft Windows would. So again, envelope out of this one into, we have 2 parameters here. Why don't we send one to each so it changes 2 different things. It navigates through the vowels and also navigates through the filter itself. That'll be interesting, which means we need yet another envelope to control the Wave Wrapper. So wow, this is something odd. If you go to the Mod Wiggler forums, where a bunch of people who, I guess you could say they helped get Eurorack started, they're a very, very friendly group of people, and the great thing is that they don't treat newbies as people to be despised, but rather people to be helped, which is nice. And why do I mention them? Because one of their sayings is, you can never have too many VCAs. Well, you can see here, we're only creating 1 voice. I've only requested 1 voice, and I'm only getting 1. I guess I could request 2, and my load is still under 50%, so I could have 2 right now if I don't add anything else. Wow, let's actually stick with that, because we may have all the pieces we need here. Okay, but the point I was trying to make was you can never have too many VCAs. Only one of those, this first one, is actually for the voice. These other ones, these are envelopes and VCAs. There's 6 of them now that are being used for modulation only. So you can see why the phrase "you can never have too many VCAs" became popular, because of times people wanted to do weird modulation like I'm doing here. Something which, on the face of it, just may seem a normal part of your signal chain can actually give you a lot of control. Yeah, so you can never have too many VCAs. Oh, am I going to run out of... Yeah. Well, I'm going to try and... My goal now is to preserve this 2 voices, because I could have a 2-note synth, and I think that's cool. First of all, let's just hear what we got right now. Oops, I got nothing. Oh, forgot to patch the last distortion pedal back into the mixer. Sorry, not into the mixer, but into the voice. So let's do that again. Interesting. So that change in the sound is still this group of knobs opening our filter. In order to preserve my my 2-voice system, I'm going to try and see if I can get these sequencers to do more jobs. Oh, but there's only... how am I going to do that? I have 6% remaining, maybe 0.6%. Maybe, just maybe... Logic processor? That's less than... Yeah. Okay, maybe I can do it with just this. I'm going to do it with and. So when... so I set this guy to 64. He's only going to play this sequence and then stop. This guy's on 16. Maybe I'll set him to 32. And then send one of his outs to this and. I'm going to make one more of these. And send, I think, same thing. I'm sort of in the guesswork zone here now. What I need is 2. I have 4 outputs here of gates, but I have 6, or actually I have 5, 6 that require gate inputs. So I can gate this second sound with this. I can gate my third sound with this, and my fourth with this. But now I have to say, instead of making a new event sequencer, because that will lose my voice, I'm going to use the gates that I got and send them to a logic processor, which means they will play at other times. This first one is going to be and, so when this long note, let's make sure to turn these G's on because we're going to need these here. When they are on, we're going to need this one to be on as well, because it's and. It only plays a positive logic signal when they are both live. So there we go. So when this long note plays, this envelope triggers. But when this long note plays and this long note plays, the 5th envelope triggers. I myself am not sure how that will work until I see it happen. I'm going to do the same thing. The second. Oops. Try that one more time. Both of these, the first and source is the same thing, which is here. This one I'm going to make, I don't think that's actually right. I think it should still be this guy. And the second source is going to be channel 4 here. I know what I'm doing conceptually. I don't know how it will sound yet, but I'm working within the parameters of what I got to try and make these sounds trigger on time. So again, we turned up the input of filter 1 so that it could receive this blue control signal. In overdrive, the amount of overdrive is now set to 0, but I'm going to have the input amount set to max so that the envelope will fade through it. I'm turning off this part of the digitizer, as you'll see me do many times. I only want the sample rate reduction. I put it up to full, and I put the sample rate at full. But remember, this guy is inverted, so he will dive down into the sample rate and then up again during his progress. Actually, I can already tell now if I put this at max, it's going to go down too far and ruin my sound too much, so I'm going to dial it back a bit. Let's call it here. Vowel Navigator, well, again, they are always on. It's always going to be going through at least one vowel at least one frequency. But I can maximize this frequency or how much it changes, and maximize this one, and they're both being controlled by this guy and this guy. Remember, they all have identical settings, but I don't want these two things to change at the exact same time. So I'm going to mess with number 5 here, because he controls that. Is that right? Yeah. Wait, what does this guy control? Oh, yeah, okay, that's fine. So I want to adjust the attack decay settings, which are really the only ones that matter. I'm going to make this a bit shorter. I'm going to make this a bit shorter. So that means that this guy will change at a slightly different speed than this guy. And finally, Wave Wrapper is in a very similar position to Mr. Overdrive here. His amount is 0, so the normal throughput will be no wave wrapping. But I'm going to maximize the control. Again, I'm not sure why this one is red. I'm sending it blue, so it's going to be modulated by blue. And yeah, as we go through this envelope, we will hear distortion fade up. So the short answer is I'm going to play a note here. Instead of just one sound, the filter being modified, it should give us multiple sounds being modified over time. I guess I got to put some gates in here. And yeah, let's just hear it. Let's just go for it. Hang on to your ear bones. We're not hearing that much. Let's just keep looking at the event sequencers on the left. Okay, that seems to be all it's doing. So when it hits this first set, it goes and then it goes wah, as we heard before. Let's see what this guy is triggering. Oh, the reason it went is because I forgot to push this G down. Let's try the whole thing again. It's good. I think one thing that might make this more into perspective is lowering the speed of the clock. Let's try it all again. It's weird, it's not doing more. Okay. We do have 2 modulations here. This one is so extreme that I'm going to dial it down a bit. The wah sound is kind of overwhelming the rest of them. Okay, we're getting more weird modulation here. This one is doing a better job. What's he connected to again? This, and connected to this. So that's the overdrive. So it's kind of weird. He's not giving me that much. Let's try turning up the overdrive a bit. What does that give me? Not really. Maybe the AD settings aren't as good as I'd hoped. Tweak these a bit. And I'm going to have the amount go down, not up. Still not much. Not so successful in the experiment here. Okay, let's keep trying. Now, when the filter opens, because the drive is up, it gets an even more distorted sound. Getting closer to my goal. Let's try adjusting some of the ADs here as well. I'm watching Event Sequencer 2. I see the lights light up, and I see the gates triggering, but it's still not giving me what I wanted here. Try this. Seems to just like kind of slide through the envelope without modifying it too much. It's odd. Except, of course, for that second sound, which we can all hear. I'm just going to bypass him for a moment. It's so odd. Why did it... Okay. Let's try modifying some of these. It could be that I've got my concept correct, but my knob's in the wrong position, which is definitely a thing that happens. Okay. Try giving the logic processor some different data. There we go. The second event sequencer did something different this time. Yep. The third one is not really helping. Cool. Good, good, good. Keep on tweaking. What if you went down even more, Mr. Filter? Okay. I think I got about as far as I could get with this one. Although I'm loath to do it, if you ask me what I would do next... Oh, maybe I can save the processing power that way. I still have this oddly evolving sound. The point I was going to say is that if I killed a couple of these ADSRs and I replaced them with a couple of LFOs, then these parameters would change constantly over time, which might get us closer to a... Since the first part of the programming works correctly, if the other modifications need LFOs instead of ADSRs, it might be a better choice. You know what? I'm going to save this now and before I make those changes and see if I can salvage it. So up to here. I've had problems even just in trying to save my own work on the modular editor, but I'm going to try my best. Streaming patch archive. Here's all the work we've done so far. 06, Evolve tone. I'm going to call it EvolveADSR because that's what we're using here is 6 ADSRs. Save. and saving the synth as a backup. Can't hurt. There we go. Patch 6. I think I might have just saved over something I wanted to keep. Oh well, it doesn't matter. It's all backed up. So now let's make that change, and then I'm going to stop this this broadcast for today. Just going to try and salvage things here. Let's kill one ADSR. The last one. So that means now the wave wrapper has no input source, but I freed up about 4%, which I'm going to need. Let's make some low-grade LFOs. Random generator sounds good. And maybe pair it with a clocked random step generator, as we do have a clock running here anyway. So plug him into there, and random generator will just generate. You can see the green light already going off on his own time. Colored randomness, meaning less variation between bits. And now I'm going to... Wow, I took one ADSR out. Oh, I know what happened. Oh, do I? For some reason, these are both unplugged. All the ADSRs have gates, though. Okay, so I guess we don't need these right now. And you can see an empty spot here and another one here. I don't know what I did here. But anyway, I got two inputs for random data. So instead of my original plan, I don't think there's anything wrong with abandoning your plan if it didn't get you to where you were trying to go, at least in Modular. Instead of giving them ADSRs to control them, I'm giving them random CV data to control them. That's kind of against the spirit of the patch, because the spirit was supposed to be like whenever one of these long, notes plays, that's the only time you'll hear the modulation of that audio element. Instead, now we should hear the frequency of the vocal filter and the amount of the wave wrapper being modulated at all times. But if it gets me something musically useful, I'm happy to do it. And I still stayed under my load of 2. So I'm going to save this, hopefully before it crashes. Don't crash on me, big buddy. You'd like to let me save the first patch, but when oh, shit. Did I just hit save as or save? Well, the good thing is it's saved in the synth, so let's try that one more time. Save as. I'll have to remember to dump the patch back from the synth to my archive, because I just ruined the previous one on the hard drive. So instead of EvolveADSR, we're now calling it EvolveLFO, because we quote-unquote cheated and added the LFOs in instead. Now it's saved, and I'm going to save it in the synth, not over top of the other one, because that's the last version I got. There we go. And finally, let's hear it. Keyboard floater, take it away. Well, that's certainly changing over time. Okay, live again. Let's try that one more time. Tragically, we had another... I gotta stop saying tragically, but we did. We had another computer crash here in the Moo Studios. Nothing new for us, unfortunately. So I just wanted to give a little bit of closure with a very, very short video to hear the end of the patch that we made. The concept was to use envelopes or ADSRs to modulate the settings on various audio processors. And I'm not sure where the video got cut off, but near the end I decided to delete one envelope and a couple of logic processors and put in a couple of random LFOs instead to modulate these two parameters here. So is it in spirit with the original conception of this patch? Maybe not. But does it get us something musical or something more musical? I hope so, and with that in mind is why I did it. So I saved this one as EvolveLFO. The original patch from this series was EvolveADSR. They're both going into patch archive because they both have their own reasons for existing, but I just wanted to play the final sound we heard. Oh, there's one more detail. At the very end of the video, we switched from a 24 dB filter to a 12 dB one. Why? Because when this filter was closing at the end of this sequence, it was removing all the high frequencies from the signal, and we couldn't hear what these processes were doing because they were processing the high end of the signal. So by opening up the filter a bit, it gives you a bit more ability to hear what's going on. So let me just play a few more notes from this final version of the patch, and I'm going to go on to another stream here. Okay, thank you. So that's what we were going for, a note that would change dramatically and in different ways over the time it was held. It was always planned to be held for a long time, and I think we got there. So that's it. Thanks for joining us. We'll do what we can to fix the tech problems, and we'll see you all next time. Cheers.